Today, I'm talking about a SIG product that actually really rocks. I'm talking about the SIG M400 Tread V2, quite the name, I know, and the SIG Romeo 8T AMR and their new Juliet 3T magnifier. This setup here has an interesting feature that is not available on any other red dot combo on the market, and I'm actually super excited. It's got an auto-changing reticle that you can program independently for when it's flipped away, and when it's flipped up, it will automatically change the reticle to your preferred settings back and forth, just by swapping the magnifier back and forth. It's really exciting, but we'll talk about that after we talk about the gun. So, the M400 Tread V2. This is an interesting rifle. It has a lot of neat features on it. It comes in at an interesting and competitive price point. And honestly, I just really like the way this thing shoots. I don't really get all that excited about AR reviews, but this one has some features that do make it very appealing for me. And it does have some downsides. This is just my first impressions. I've only got about 400 or 500 rounds through this gun so far. So not a whole lot, but enough to have an idea of how it feels and how it shoots. We'll do a full long-term review coupled with a long-term, more detailed review of this reticle system in this brand new red dot at a later date. So going over some of the features of this gun really quick, hammer it out. Ambi safety with a short side on the right side, just like you want it as a right-hand shooter. Now on a featureless configuration, which this is, you do want an ambi safety because most grips, including the one that comes factory on it, do not allow you to wrap your thumb around and activate that safety. So if I was a right-hand shooter and I did not have an ambi safety on this gun, I'd have to reach under and go like this to take it to fire. And then I would have to reach under to put it back onto safe. But with an ambi safety, I can actuate that. It has an ambi mag release that is actuated on this side here and a standard button release for the right-handed shooters. On the left side, the bolt catch is extended, which is nice. It has QD points at the rear on both sides, so if you want to mount your sling there, or on the fixed buttstock, it has them there. The upper comes with a standard charging handle and a nitrided bolt, I believe. It's a pretty standard setup there, nothing too fancy. This foregrip does not come with it. It comes from the same manufacturer of this prototype grip, which I will be showing you the neat features about later, but the handguard does feel very nice. The original Tread V2, or the original M400 Tread, a major complaint that people had was that the handguard was simply too heavy, which if you look at the specs, it was. It really was. For a slim rail, it was pretty heavy for what it was. Not too heavy, not too bulky, but the new one is very light, very sleek. I really do like these clean, flat top setups. If you're not gonna run iron sights, not a problem. If you want to run a light, you can very easily. Just attach it to the M-lock like you should be. You can run a pressure pad over the top, and you might be thinking, how will I attach my tape switch? You can attach it with tape. At the front, we have a 3-port muzzle brake. This thread is sort of interesting. The threading on this barrel is interesting. Most of SIG rifles nowadays are sold with a tapered barrel that then has an adapter to make it non-tapered so you can attach a crush washer and a normal muzzle brake. But if you wanted to use a direct thread suppressor or muzzle device that is designed for a tapered barrel, you could do that. But this one has a standard 3-port brake that works very, very well. The barrel is a 5.56 NATO 1-in-8 twist stainless steel barrel. The gas block is a fixed position gas block. It does not adjust, and it is pinned in place, which is a very nice feature. This gun is gassed excellently. Not overgassed, not undergassed. It's right in that sweet spot. It's got enough gas to cycle light 223 loads, but not so much gas that it's going to be blowing you out if you're shooting 5.56. I imagine if you're using a suppressor, you might want to swap this out, but in California, that's not really a huge factor that we have to consider here, unfortunately. It's unfortunate that we don't get to consider that. This gun handles very nicely. It points really well. The slimness of the handguard is an asset, but unfortunately it is also a defect or a bad design in certain ways. Because this top rail sits a little bit lower than standard, if you want to mount a backup front sight, you don't have Picatinny up here. So if you want to mount a backup flip-up front sight, you will need to get the SIG-specific Picatinny adapter so that it sits at the correct height for your rear sight. This setup, I'm not running irons on it, which some of you will say is sacrilege. I understand, but for me, that's fine. Because it's lower, you get your hand pretty close to it. I haven't shot this gun enough in one given time. I only shot about 300-400 rounds over the course of about an hour or two. So I didn't get it hot enough to really notice if it was gonna be way too hot, but for me, that's shooting at a reasonable pace. Some of you might think that's unreasonable to shoot that much ammo in that period of time, but I didn't notice it getting too hot, and some guns that I shoot get too hot. All in all, this gun shoots really nice. The one thing that I don't really like about it that you might not care too much about, this trigger is a 2-stage trigger that breaks at about 4.5 or 5 pounds. It breaks very clean, but it's just, in my opinion, this trigger is not quite as good as I would like it. When it comes to triggers on ARs, I'm a fan of one of two things. Having either an immaculate 2-stage trigger like a Geisley, or an immaculate single-stage trigger like a Rise Armament. Or go cheap, throw a polished mil-spec trigger in it, and have the gun be slightly less expensive. Those are my 3 routes that I would rather have on a trigger. So having this 2-stage trigger in it, it's probably fine for most people, for most purposes. Most people might actually really like this trigger, but it's not really my preference. But I'm gonna keep it in the gun just for the sake of reviewing this gun. Maybe at a later date, I will swap it out for something that I prefer, but for now, it does work perfectly fine. I was taking this thing out to 200 yards, which isn't crazy distance, I know, and shooting at an 8-inch target, and I was having no problem whatsoever hitting that. It was very easy to do. Shooting it from standing, prone, all that business. This gun is plenty accurate. I will do more in-depth accuracy testing at a future date, but for now, the gun seems to be working perfectly fine. It shoots very well, more accurate than some guns that I've tested, less accurate than some of the most expensive guns, but at a realistic street price of about 11, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So let's talk about the real juicy bit. The Romeo 8T AMR, and I'll bring you over here. Okay, so we're down on the tabletop. This is the Romeo 8T AMR. This is a new generation of the SIG Romeo 8T, which is one of the most durable dots on the market. It's one of the best dots on the market. And now this version is supposed to be slightly cheaper, slightly lighter, just as durable, and it has a very interesting feature when paired with this magnifier. And I'll show you a video of aiming down the sights with this. This has a night vision button that will automatically bring you up to the brightest setting. When you press it, it goes back to the setting you were at before. So if you're shooting under nods and you lower it down to one of the night vision settings, and then you really quickly, you need to go white light for whatever reason, you press this button, it goes up to the brightest setting. Now you can use white light, press that button, and you can go back to the setting you were at before. The 8T is honestly possibly one of the best optics on the market. They can't say it's made in America, but it is designed, machined, and assembled in America. Because of the state of Oregon's Made in USA laws, because they use some glass and electronics that might be made out of some other country, I'm not entirely sure. In most other states, they'd be able to call this Made in America, but they can't. It's one of the most Made in America dots on the market. It has industry-leading night vision performance. I put this up under my tubes in my backyard with 0 light out. I compared it against a Eotech EXPS3 with my PVS-14 with a Elbit Y, one of the top-end Elbit tubes, and I could not see any real difference that was notable to me. So it's got good night vision performance. The 3T magnifier is small, it's lightweight, and it's doable. Magnifiers all kind of suck in certain ways, but they're very great for what they're supposed to do. Provide a little bit of magnification so you can see just a little bit better and shoot slightly smaller targets at distance. And it does that great. When you swap back and forth, it automatically swaps to a certain reticle. So with this, you have single dot, multi-dot, you have single dot with a circle, and multi-dot with a circle. I set this one up for me personally as single dot with a circle when it's unmagnified, When it's magnified, I have just the multiple dots with no circle. And for me, that's awesome because when I want to shoot a little bit more accurately at distance, all of a sudden I have bullet drop compensation that's very easy to read and understand. When I'm shooting close and fast or just less precisely and I don't need the magnification, I am now just doing a circle dot, which for me is a perfect feature. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but it's got magnets in the magnifier mount here. So when it switches down, it automatically detects it. I've been able to get it to reliably detect and switch when it's one click back further away, but this is where it's ideal for me with my length of pull and whatnot, so that's where I've left it. There is a limit to how far it will work, but realistically, most of you are probably gonna put your dot up here, magnifier at about right there, and call it a day. In theory, you might be able to get different magnifiers to work with this, but this is the one they sent it with, and this is the one I'm going to use it. This setup has not yet been released. I'm probably one of the only reviewers in the country currently with one of these in their possession, and I will know more about it when it comes to tech specs when it's fully released. I think sometime in June or maybe July, this should be hitting the market, but it was announced at SHOT Show, and I think like 2 people covered it. This grip here is a prototype of a grip that is designed by a company called Flip Defense. Flip Defense also sent me a more refined prototype of one of their grips here. So the grip that came with the Sig Sauer is this standard fin grip. It works. It's comfortable enough. But since Flip Defense sent me out these grips, now this gun is not semi-auto for the purpose of content creation. So grip that's featureless, I would then just put this little screw in, screw it off a few turns, a few more turns, there we go. Tighten this back. Where's that hole? Can't find the hole. I would tighten this down. Boom. This is more of a production prototype. They sent it to me so that I could give them feedback. I have some feedback that I've posted in a video recently of some features that I'd like to change as far as palm swells, that kind of thing, for ergonomic reasons. But then this one here is a slightly different grip with a more negative angle to it. I'm testing both these out just for content purposes. These are not what ships with the gun. These grips are very exciting to me because it allows you to very quickly go from a free state configuration or a fixed mag configuration if you so desired, back to a compliant featureless configuration by just unscrewing that, flipping it over, screwing it back in. We've talked about, because this one here has a little hole that I can just pop this pin in and retain it. I've talked to them about a better way, maybe with a grip plug that retains this screw. But yeah, this is a very exciting grip. So this gun has some exciting features. It's a really nice gun in my opinion. I'm gonna do more long-term testing with it. This reticle and optic system is probably gonna be my new favorite, and in my opinion, the king of red dot magnifier setups, which are probably the most useful setups for most gun owners that have an AR-15. This is going to be an industry destroyer. I think Eotech is going to have a hard time competing with this because they have not innovated in 20, 30 years. And this performs just as good under night vision, has better features, is more durable, isn't subject to delamination, has better battery life and auto shut off with just in general way more features. And this combo should be retailing at a price that is less than an Eotech and magnifier combo. More features, better performance, better battery life, same night vision performance, less price. Seems like a no-brainer. Anyways, I hope this was informative. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.